Hello guys, welcome back. So next we'll continue with the next Selenium suite, that is Selenium remote control, and we call it as Selenium RC. Selenium RC was the flagship testing framework of the old Selenium project for long time. So long time this Selenium RC is used in the industry as a tool for testing purpose. So it is this project, it is used for long time in compared to the Selenium IDE. So this is the first automated web testing tool that allowed users to use a programming language they prefer. So during the 2006, so this is the first automated web testing tool that allowed user to use a programming language that they prefer. So as of version 2.25.0, RC Selenium RC can support the following programming language, that is Java, C#, PHP, Python, Perl, Ruby. So all these are languages supported by the Selenium remote control. So next we will see the advantage and disadvantage of this particular Selenium test suite. So the advantages are, it is a cross browser and a cross platform, and it can perform looping and conditional operations. So these are the advantages to overcome the drawbacks of Selenium IDE, and it can support data driven testings and has matured and complete API, and can readily support new browsers. It supports new browsers and faster execution than IDE. So the one of the drawback in Selenium IDE was that it was slow for, the execution speed is very less. So to overcome that, so this Selenium RC is developed, and these are some main advantages. Then we'll see the disadvantages. So the installation is more complicated than IDE. Installation is very easy in the Selenium IDE, but in Selenium RC it is little difficult, more complicated, and must have programming knowledge. So the one who use this Selenium RC tool should know some programming language, and needs Selenium RC server to be running. RC server you should be need to running. Then API contains redundant and confusing commands. So this Selenium RC has some command, they are confusing, and browser interaction is less realistic, then inconsistent result, and uses JavaScripts, and slower execution time than the next version, that is WebDriver. So these are some advantages and disadvantages of Selenium RC. So next we will discuss about the say one of the Selenium suite, that is WebDriver. Okay, so this is just WebDriver, it's not a Selenium WebDriver. Okay, we call it as WebDriver. So it provides itself to be better than both Selenium IDE and Selenium RC. So we can call it as it's a better or best than both these previous versions of Selenium suite in many aspects. It implements a more modern and stable approach in automating the browser section. So WebDriver, unlike Selenium RC, it does not rely on JavaScript for automation. It controls the browser by directly communicating it. So the Selenium, this web driver, it controls the browser by directly communicating it. So that is one of the main features of this web driver. So the supported languages are the same as those in the Selenium RC. So that's why for this also the programming knowledge is needed. So and these are the same as the Selenium RC. So we will see the difference between means the advantages and disadvantages of the Selenium WebDriver. The first is the advantage is simpler installation than Selenium RC, as the first version is Selenium IDE. It's very simple to install. Then the next is Selenium RC, but it's a little complicated to install. So to overcome that Selenium WebDriver, so it is very simple to install. Then communicate directly to the browser. So that is one advantage of WebDriver. Browser interaction is more realistic, and no need for a separate component such as RC server. So RC server was needed in the Selenium RC, so that is one of the drawback there. So here no need for a separate component such as RC server. Here there is a directly communicating with the browser. Selenium with the WebDriver it directly communicates to the browser, and faster execution time than IDE and RC. It is faster. The test execution is faster compared to the previous versions, Selenium IDE and Selenium RC. So next we will come to the drawbacks, the disadvantages of WebDriver. So installation is more complicated than Selenium IDE. So if you compare with the previous versions, the installation is little difficult and requires the programming language. He should know the different programming languages. Cannot readily support new browsers. So it cannot readily support the new browsers and has no built-in mechanism for logging runtime messages and generating test results. So these are the main disadvantages of a WebDriver. Okay, so just we can call it just WebDriver. It's not a Selenium driver. So next is the last test suite, that is Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is a tool used together with Selenium RC to run parallel tests across different machines. Okay, so this is the second version, that is Selenium RC, or we can call it as Selenium 1. So this Selenium Grid tool that is used along with the Selenium 1 or Selenium RC to run the parallel tests across different machines and different browsers. Okay, so this you have to keep in your mind, different machines and different browsers all at the same time. So parallel execution means running multiple tests at once. Okay, so this is the one test suite that supports the parallel execution of test cases. So the main feature is enables simultaneous running of the tests in multiple browser and environment, and it saves time. So note on the browsers and environment support. Next we will see all these test suite, how it supports to different browsers and the environment. So we'll see in detail. So because of their architectural differences, the Selenium IDE, Selenium RC and WebDriver, they supports different sets of browsers and operating system. So we'll discuss all these in detail. So this shows the Selenium IDE. Okay, so we'll see these the differences, that is the Selenium IDE the Selenium RC and WebDriver. So we'll compare with these Selenium suites. First we'll consider the point browser support. So browser support for the Selenium IDE supports only for the Mozilla Firefox, and the Selenium RC that supports all the browsers: Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Safari, Opera, Conquer, and others. It supports all the browsers. So, and the next, the WebDriver is also the main advantage is that it supports all the versions, either Internet Explorer of different versions of 32 42 bit, Firefox of different version, and Google Chrome of all the versions, then Opera, then Android 2.0, Android, different Android operating system, and that is for phones and tablets, because this Selenium that is also used for mobile application testing. So iOS 3 plus for phones, devices, and emulators for tablets, HTML unit. So this WebDriver supports all the browsers. Then next come to the operating system. So it supports IDE supports Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Selenium supports for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Then WebDriver, so it supports all the operating systems where the browser above can run. So if all these browsers are running in a particular machine, then it's so next we will discuss what is UFT. You should know, you are studying the Selenium tool, but before that, so before coming to the Selenium in the market, the QTP tool was boom in the market during the year 2004. So the QTP, nowadays it is called as Unified Functional Testing, and previously it was called as Quick Test Professional, so popularly known by its acronym as UFT, is an automation testing tool originally from the Mercury Interactive company, which was acquired by HP company in 2006. UFT is primarily used for functional regression and service testing. So using a UFT, you can automate user actions on a web or client-based computer application and test the same actions for different browsers, different data set on various Windows operating system and different browsers. So now we'll see the difference between the Selenium tool and QTP tool. Why many of they prefer the Selenium tool. So we'll discuss the difference between this Selenium and QTP testing tool.